We have our keynote speaker over here, and it's such a fascinating story I would like you to know. Tony Buzan is a Pakistani. While he was born in the UK. And you will know why, because he managed to see through the soul of the country. Tony Buzan, one of, counted among, in fact, one of the 10 most influential people in the world, and Forbes magazine counted him the 5th, in fact, most influential person on the planet. Tony Buzan, a writer of approximately 146 books, translated in 65 languages of the world. Not only that, he is the inventor of the mind mapping, and as far as recently, the mind mappers across the world in, say, approximately 200 countries, they are numbered at approximately 500 million people. 500 million people practicing mind mapping, invented by Tony Buzan. And we have the leverage, we have the player. He was nominated for a Nobel Prize approximately 4 times, and I could go on and on. But in fact, I want to give him a surprise before he actually reaches there. I was working with Tony. Tony and I, we have the privilege, actually, we have shared stage in several countries, and I have the privilege actually working with him for the last 1.5 years on a project. And actually, there's a book in my hands, which even Tony hasn't seen yet. This is what we both have been working at, in fact. And this is the book. And this book, actually, Tony collaborated with the British Pakistani educators, in fact. He collaborated with Tony, in fact, to produce this amazing book of 1.5 years. But Tony has been working on this book for the last 32 years. And they say that this book is going to this book is going to change the future of teaching in the world. I can go on and on, but I will stop over here, and I will bring the amazing Tony Buzan to you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good night.
Very well. How many of you are students? Wonderful. How many of you have a degree? Okay, so a number of people. How many of you have children? Okay. How many of you are artists? How many of you are not artists? Vast majority. How many of you are poets, like poetry, as poets? How many of you are not poets? 98%. How many of you are scientists? How many of you are not scientists? Again, vast majority. How many of you daydream? How many of you daydream every day? How many of you enjoy your daydreaming? How many of you have had a daydream in this theatre during the time that I have been speaking to you? So 10 of you told the truth, and 90% of you lied. So we've now established some good, if you like, parameters for who you are. Daydreamers who don't tell the truth. You are going to be the leaders of the planet. How many of you who do not have children are intending to have children? Good. How many of you went to and are at, have been at a good school? How many have been at a good school? 100% of you. 100% of you. So, group. I'm calling you a group because at the moment we're not quite sure who you are. And we are talking about leadership, the future leaders, and Pakistan. Pakistan. And you are going to lead it. How many of you love colors? I fell in love in Pakistan, in Karachi, when I saw colors. Aha! This is another surprise. I did not know this was here. When I was going to come to Pakistan, I was advised, do not. And I was told, not only do not, we basically demand that you don't. And I'd say, why? Well, if you go there, it's a poor country. It's a country filled with terrorists, and you will almost definitely get killed. And I thought, how interesting. If one looks at the statistics in Pakistan, how many millions of people, 180-ish? And I thought, well, when the sun rises the following morning, there are still about 180 million people there. If they were all terrorists, there would only be one person left. Because they'd have killed each other and the best killer would have survived. So I thought, quite obviously, that is not a place filled with terrorists. So I thought, I'm definitely going to go. Because the probability of me getting shot, killed, murdered, garroted was about 0. So I came. And when I arrived, I went into the hotel. Guards. And I wanted when I got in, they said, would you like food? And like hamburgers and stuff. I said, no, I want Pakistan food. Because whenever I travel somewhere, I want to eat the food that the people there eat. So he said, all right, we'll take you to the best Pakistan restaurant. I said, wonderful. He said, it's just here. Then I said, show me. And he showed me a canteen restaurant called the Pakistan restaurant in the hotel. And I said, do you have a problem with your memory? I said, I want the best Pakistan food. And they said, you can't do that. I said, why not? Because you can't go out of the hotel. because you may well get killed. I said, they're mad. So I said, get me a car, and I will go there. I will go there myself. And I asked the people who worked in the hotel, the sweepers, people in the toilets, I said, where do you think the best Pakistan food is? And they said, well, we think it's probably barbecue. And I said, tell me about it. All the food is fresh. Even fish and crabs and shrimps and lamb and steaks, I mean just everything. So I said, done. So I went there. And as I was being driven along, I saw along the roads, I didn't see those people. I saw, no, back, yes. I saw that. Stand after stand after stand after stand after stand of fruit and vegetables. And I have been told that Pakistanis are pretty dumb. And they're not educated, and they're slovenly and disordered and messy and confused and corrupt, and the education is really poor. What did we see? Tell me, what did we see?
The colors and the organized, all the colors and the things, where they should be.
Colors, organized, geometric, categorized, original, creative, immaculate. And these are uneducated minds. Euclid and Newton would have loved them. And so would Picasso. So would Leonardo da Vinci. Brilliant. Brilliant. And I saw one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I thought, do you really think that I'm going to get killed in a place like that? What kind of people are they? They are exactly the words that I just described. So, as we were driving along, as I was being driven, I was in the traffic. And how many of you have been in Karachi? I was sitting there, and cars were going in all directions. There were the little buses, the taxis. It was absolutely mind-boggling. And there were people with children on a little motorcycle. And there was either a man or a female with a kid here, and two kids hanging here. And my car was vroom, and I thought, they're going to get killed, not me. And I have a degree which includes mathematics, and I love mathematics, and I love geometry, and I love permutations and combinations, and I predicted that my car would hit that bike, or that bike, that bike, that bike, that bike, and that bike will all collide. And they missed each other by a millionth of a millimeter. And I thought, what? Uneducated. These are post-Euclidean, post-Newtonian, post-Einsteinian mathematicians. And they're everywhere. You know, what do you call this country? Brilliant. Colourful. All of you love colour. So then, coming at me was one of those. And I thought that must be the only one. And of course, every other 5 seconds, another one, another one, another one, festooned with beautiful, brilliant art. Again, immaculate, highly intelligent, wonderfully cultured. And I actually, when we were stopping, I spoke to a couple of them and said, you know, who taught you how to do that? Oh, I just copied what the other people do and put my own ideas in, but that's mine. And they did it themselves. And they did it day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. That could easily, should have easily won one of the Turner Prizes in London. This difficult jump. So if you ever want to win a prize, just steal one of those, take it to London and say, I did this, boom. You'll definitely get a Turner Prize. So that's where I was. And I went to the restaurant to barbecue. And it was on a square. More of these, obviously. That's it. Okay. So you will not see pictures of what I ate. When I came out of the car, there was a kind of square, and there was this giant barbecue in Karachi. How many of you have been to the big night barbecue?
Barbecue tonight.
Yeah, barbecue tonight. How many of you have been to that?
Yeah.
Haram. So there I am, and I am the only white. Now, what does the word white mean? How many of you are white? How many of you are black? How many of you are brown? But, you know, when you put your tongue out, is that brown? Is your tongue brown?
No.
Are your eyes brown?
Yes.
Are they? Really? I've never seen a person with brown eyes. All the eyes that I can see, despite the fact that you think they're brown, are basically white. Black in the center, and a little bit of brown stuff somewhere. Those aren't brown eyes at all. And I'm not white, in fact, anywhere except here. And even they're not perfectly white either. So, what do you mean by brown or white? It's generic. It's pre-judgment and post-judgment, and it's prejudiced. You are multicolored, and so am I, and so is everybody you meet. So anyway, I was, at that time, at the night barbecue, the only white. And lots of Pakistanis there in white clothes. And everywhere there were kids in this violent, terrorist-ridden pad. And the first thing that happened was a little boy came up, and he was about 6 years old, and he looked at me, and he inspected me. Who is this white creature? And then he said, speaking quite nice English, he said, let me take you to the restaurant. And I'd been out there smelling all the aromas of the barbecues. I'd seen all the fresh meat and fish and shellfish, all the nice vegetables as well. And so I went up there, and in the top roof, I was just there, basically on my own. And I looked around, and it was mostly families. People were laughing, smiling, joking, the kids were running around. And that was me in Pakistan. And I thought, how in God's name can the media spread that absolutely violently wrong information? The reason why the media does is that people believe the media, and even you believe the media. You believe you're brown, and you're multicolored, and you love colors. When you are taking notes, how many of you have taken notes today? How many of you in your university take notes? Okay. How many of you use a blue or black ballpoint? So basically 100%. So now let me ask you, would you like your children to be ruled by a government, and this is going to be you, right? You're going to be the leaders. Would you like your children to be governed by a government that has basically no scientists, no poets, no artists, and millions of people who love color and don't use it? Utterly incongruent. Utterly incongruent. The future leaders have to be really truthful. Not just, I'm telling the truth, but really telling the truth. Look at what reality really is, who you really are. And you dream of being, because you all daydream. And by the way, in schools, is daydreaming considered good or bad? Bad. So we now know it's a bad group. So the future leaders of Pakistan, you already know are bad because you daydream. But I can now tell you that if you daydream, or if you don't daydream, you will die. So you can switch your tectonic plates. Daydreaming is not only not bad, it is necessary, it is vital, it is good, it keeps your dream alive. So now let's look at Pakistan. You as the leaders to be have not been taught how to think. If you're taking notes in one color, and you're not scientists either, but I'll let you know that one color is a monochrome. A monochrome. And a monochrome is a monotone. If a monotonous, what word do you get when you combine mono and tonus? Monotonous. Monotonous. If something is really monotonous, what does your brain do? Gets bored. Can you hear me when I'm talking here? Yeah. When your brain is bored, what does it do?
Switches off.
Goes to sleep, switches off, tunes out, shuts down. The best example you can think of is Singapore. And please make as many notes as you can. Singapore, 50 years ago, was nothing. And a small team, smaller than you new leaders to be, those few leaders had a new nation. And you've got one, right? You're going to be the leaders of that nation. That country was about 40 kilometers long, 40 kilometers long, and about 24 kilometers tall. That was it. How big is Pakistan? How many?
725,000 square.
Almost a million.
I had expected all the hands to go up. So you didn't even know where you are, where you're going to be. Well, it's bigger than Singapore.
Much.
I've been there, I know. So the leaders said, what are we going to do? Let's audit. How much gold? How much gold in Singapore? Zero. How much oil? Zero. Fisheries? Zero. Agriculture? Zero. Resources? Zero. Beautiful places to go and see? Zero. Nothing. Except 200,000 people. And that was it. And what the government said, well, that's all we got. Let's invest in it. It's all we've got. We'll invest in it. We'll invest in the human resource. And we'll grow that. So put it in your questionnaire. What is the most important resource that Pakistan has?
Culture. Youth.
And it's fascinating that many people say different things. You know, beautiful places, nice things. The prime resource is the only one that Singapore had, the human brain. The human brain. And the educating of that. And who's going to educate the brains? The teachers. The teachers. Because without good teachers, you've got a lot of bad brains who don't know how to learn. Don't know how to learn how to learn. Don't know how to think. So the future is in the hands of the teachers. How many of you are parents again? How many of you who are parents are teachers? How many of you who are going to be a parent are not necessarily going to be a teacher? Okay, team, so we now know that parents, according to this government, parents don't teach children. Isn't that amazing? So parents are not teachers, which is what most parents around the planet thinks. Not teachers. And yet, the parent is the prime teacher. And the teacher is the future of the planet. This is purely a surprise for me, but I am polemically furious that teaching is considered to be the lowest profession on the planet. And it should be the highest. And education, everybody says, and the politicians say, education, education, education. And all those educators, those education government, say, oh, by the way, and they take their notes in grey, or black, or blue, and they are boring, and they are not thinking about thinking, and they don't know what creativity is, and they don't know what the human resource is. So I have just come from Sudan, El Sudan, North Sudan. How many of you know about El Sudan? Oh, guys. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a country not far from you. It also is built on the religion of Muslim, the Quran, and they also are described as terrorists, uneducated, the same descriptions. And I was going to go there 4 weeks ago, and I was told never go, because if you go, you're going to be killed. They're all terrorists. Exactly the same experience, beautiful people, wonderful country, fabulous food, and what do they want for their nation? They've got 34 million people. So in Sudan, it's El Sudan, it's not it's the Sudan. Oh, by the way, in Egypt, where did the Nile start? How many of you have heard of the Nile? Nile? Yeah? Where? All the history books say Egypt. It's formed in Khartoum, in El Sudan. They wanted education and they asked me to come because of mind mapping. How many of you are mind mappers? Okay, wonderful. And I will be working more with W. Kopp for the rest of my life because I am a real Pakistani.
Yes.
And it was in Pakistan that a great mental literacy project started, and it was teaching thousands upon thousands upon thousands of children around the world how to mind map in a butterfly project. And it was, here we are, the butterfly project. It started in Karachi. In Karachi. And there are already tens of thousands of them spreading education and knowledge about mind mapping and learning. In Sudan, very similar in many ways, and they came up with the idea, which is an idea that Arab had, totally independent of me and them, the Quran. The Quran. How many of you are Muslims? Right. What is the first main message in the Quran?
Read.
I was trying to give you the opportunity of thinking. And the word is read. Read. And it does not mean pick up a little book and read the book word by word by word and take linear grey one-colour notes. It means see. Use your phenomenal God-given gift called a brain and all your senses to really see. To see every other face, because there is not one face that is like any other. They are all unique, as indeed are you. Look truly at the environment. Look at the present. Look at the future. Have it as one of your leadership main qualities, vision, and then commit to it, and then persist with it. And what they want, and what I am also asking for, are mind mappers who want to join the project to mind map with really good mind maps the entire Quran, so that it's available using the human language of vision, image, and association. So any of you who would like to join the Mind Mapping Quran project, please let us know. And I'll just give you one final thing, because I'm going to persist just over 2 minutes. The speeches that have been made today and the talks and chats, many of the individuals have talked about determination, continuing, getting up off the floor. keep going on. The number one quality of genius and the number one quality of leadership is not vision. I mean, that's obviously one of the main ones. But the number one is persistence. Persistence. If at first you don't succeed, what? Yeah, and people say, try again. But the old intelligent saying is, if at first you don't succeed, try, and try again. It means keep on going forever. That's real leadership. Persistence. And I will let you know that you have perfect examples and teachers of persistence. Animals will teach you. Just watch cats and dogs and squirrels. Just watch them. Persistence. And watch young children. And my farewell message is, think of yourself as a child, 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and your mum and dad come home, and they're leaders like you are going to be, and they come home, and when they get home, the little girl and little boy say, Mummy, Daddy, we want an ice cream. And what does Mummy and Daddy say? No, you can't. No. And they say, we want an ice cream. We said no. We want an ice cream. Dad will often say, look, I've told you no, and when I say no, I mean no. And sure enough, the kids close their eyes so the dad can't zoom in, nor can mum, and they go, we want an ice cream, 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 we want an ice cream. And they go on and on and on until what? The moment that says, okay, just this once. And the kid thinks, we got him. We won. And they have. So, persistence. Stay with your dream and make sure that Pakistan, which really deserves to be a phenomenally beautiful, cultured, intelligent, utopian nation, it's all there. It's waiting for you. And as long as I'm around, I'll be there to help in any way I can. Thank you very much.